case, the good fortune that we found in this country robs us of any natural understanding of the pains and the torments of our ancestors, particularly of our ancestors who experienced what happened in Europe between 1939 and 1945. And so it requires an even greater leap of imagination, an even greater exertion of human and Jewish empathy to remember what it is that we wish to commemorate. Then there's also the fact that for Jews it's very hard to accept a distinction that for other peoples comes quite naturally, which is a distinction between natural oblivion and unnatural oblivion. Jews fear that unnatural oblivion is the only kind of oblivion there is. We are always worried about being erased. Remember, kamim aleinu b'chol dor vador, kamim aleinu l'chalotenu, as we said at the Seder last week. But in fact, even for Jews, there is such a thing as natural oblivion. The time passes, the generations pass, things are forgotten. There cannot be memory unless there is forgetting. Where there is no forgetting, there is no memory. Where there is no forgetting, there is only the pseudo-memory of the computer, which is not a memory at all. It's just an inventory. It's just an inventory. But so there will be this forgetting. And as I say, this in some ways a blessing, so that room, spiritual room, can be opened up for our children and for the generations that follow us. But still, we are not comfortable with processes of natural oblivion. We worry that in some way they represent some failure on our part, some kind of infidelity. And finally, there is, and this is something many of you will recognize and something that I even wrote about in my book some years ago, there is the incredible psychological and spiritual difficulty of the end of Avelut, of the end of mourning. You know, people always say about the Jewish way with mourning that the rabbis were incredibly shrewd psychologically in the structure that they set up of the first day and the funeral, and then the 7 days, and then the 30 days, and then the year, and the Kaddish, and so on. All I can tell you is if you've said Kaddish for a year, you know that it works very well in the beginning, but as you approach the end, it is really, really scary. Because you really do feel that for a whole year, you've honored the deceased by distorting your life for them. Distorting it logistically and so on. And when the distortions come to their end, one panics because one almost experiences it as the imminence of a kind of betrayal of some kind. The end of Avelut is very hard. And that's one of the things that we're going to be experiencing in the aftermath of the aftermath.